Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. Jayam Vishnupad, Paramahansa, Purvikacharya, Satara Sata Shri Shrimad, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad, Paramahansa, Purvikacharya, Satara Sata Shri Shrimad, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogopinath Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Maya Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Yuga Dharma Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Priya Mridanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Transcendental Krishna Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Holy Month of Karti Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Damodar Ki Jai. Go Premanandi. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. While this comes, we can probably do Kirtan. Thank you very much. Too much dependency on technology. Sorry about that. Welcome to morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Start with our Kirtan. Thank you, Prabhu. Is it okay? Hare Krishna. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Kala Chanji Radha Kala Chanji Radhe. Jaya Radha Kala Chanji Radha Kala Chanji Radhe. Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today we are reading chapter 9, canto 9, chapter 4, verse 29 to 41. Yes. So we'll start with our initial prayer and then we'll go for the reading and then we'll come back to verse 29 to read that in detail. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayeta. Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavatashu Shloke Bhaktir Bharvati Nashtaki. So we can read from 29 to 41 if we want to pass the mic, if it is here. And then we'll come back to 29.
To worship Lord Krishna, Maharaj Ambrish, along with his queen, who was equally qualified, observed the vow of Ekadashi and Dwadashi for 1 year.
In the month of Kartik, after observing that vow for 1 year, after observing a fast for 3 nights, and after bathing in the Yamuna, Maharaj Ambarish worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari in Madhuvan.
Yeah.
Following
Perfect for today. Go ahead.
Following the regulative principles of Mahabhisheka, Maharaj Ambarish performed the bathing ceremony for the deity of Lord Krishna with all paraphernalia, and then he dressed the deity with fine clothing, ornaments, fragrant flower garlands, and other paraphernalia for worship of the Lord. With attention and devotion, he worshipped Krishna and all the greatly fortunate Brahmanas who were free from material desires.
Thereafter Maharaj Ambarish satisfied all the guests who arrived at his house, especially the Brahmins. He gave in charity 60 crores of cows, whose horns were covered with gold plate, and whose hooves were covered with silver plate. All the cows were well decorated with garments, and had full milk bags. They were mild-natured, young and beautiful, and were accompanied by their calves. After giving these cows, the king first sumptuously fed all the Brahmins, and when they were fully satisfied, he was about to observe the end of Ekadashi with their permission by breaking the fast. Exactly at that time, however, Durvas Muni, the great and powerful mystic, appeared on the scene as an uninvited guest.
After standing up to receive Durvasa Muni, King Ambarish offered him a seat and paraphernalia of worship. Then sitting at his feet, the king requested the great sage to eat.
Durvasa Muni gladly accepted the request of Maharaj Amrit, but to perform the ritualistic ceremonies, he went to the river Yamuna. There he dipped into the water of the auspicious Yamuna and meditated upon impersonal Brahman.
In the meantime, only a muhurta of the Dwadashi day was left on which to break the fast. Consequently, it was imperative that the fast be broken immediately. In this dangerous situation, the king consulted learned Brahmanas. The king said to transgress the laws of respectful behaviors towards the Brahmanas is certainly a great offense. On the other hand, if one does not observe the breaking of the fast within the time of Dwadashi, there is a flaw in one's observance of the vow. Therefore, O Brahmanas, if you think that it will be auspicious and not religious, I shall break the fast by drinking water. In this way, after consulting with the Brahmanas, the king reached this decision for according to the Brahminical opinion, drinking water may be accepted as eating and also as not eating.
Thank you very much. That was the last one.
Text 41.
Oh,
O
sorry.
beast of the Kuru density, after he drank some water, King Amrisha, meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, waited for the return of the great mystic Durvasa Muni.
Yeah, to 29. Thank you very much for reading it. Everybody knows what happened after that. That is a little bit out of scope for today's class. So we'll come back to that. So we'll read 29. Ariradhayashu Krishnam Mahishya Tulshilaya Yuktah Samvatsara Viro Dadhardvadashi Vratam Ariradhayashu Krishnam Mahishya Tulshilaya Yuktah Samvatsara Viro Dadhardvadashi Vratam. Anybody would like to read? Ariradhayashu Krishnam Mahishya Tulyashilaya Yuktah Samvatsaram Viro Dadardvadashi Vratam. Ariradhayashu Krishnam Mahishya Tulyashilaya Yuktah Samvatsaram Viro Dadardvadashi Vratam. Adi Ariradhayashu Krishnam Mahishya Tulyashilaya Yuktah Samvatsaram Viro Dadardvadashi Vratam. Aniradhayashu Krishnam Mahishya Tulyashilaya Yuktah samvatsaram viro tadardvadashi vratam. Ariradha Yishuhu, aspiring to worship Krishnam, the Supreme Lord, Krishna, Mahishya with his queen, Tulva Sylvia, who were equally as qualified as Maharaj Ambrish, Yukta together, Samvasaram for 1 year, Viraha the king, Tadharaha accepted, Dvadashi Vratam, the vow of observing Ekadashi and Dvadashi. Translation: to worship Lord Krishna, Maharaj Ambrish, along with his queen, who was equally qualified, observed the vow of Ekadashi and Dvadashi for 1 year. Purport: by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. To observe Ekadashi Vrata and Dvadashi Vrata means to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those interested in advancing in Krishna consciousness must observe Ekadashi Vrata regularly. Maharaj Ambrish's queen was equally as qualified as the king. Therefore, it was possible for Maharaj Amrisha to engage his life in household affairs. In this regard, the word Tulya Silya is very significant. Unless a wife is equally as qualified as her husband, household affairs are very difficult to continue. Chanakya Pandit advises that a person in such a situation should immediately give up household life. In such a situation, should immediately give up household life and become a vanaprastha or sannyasi. Mata yasya grahe nasti bharya chapriya vadini aranyam tena gantavyam yatharayam tatha graham. A person who has no mother at home and whose wife is not agreeable with him should immediately go away to the forest, because human life is meant for spiritual advancement only. Once my wife must be helpful in this endeavor, otherwise there is no need of household life. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadatim Swapadantikam. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. I really do not have, first of all, no qualification to be doing Bhagavatam class, so thank you very much for giving that opportunity for my own purification. Second is, this topic is beyond my scope anyway, so I can only share a little bit what I understand or heard. So I'm going to read a little bit of what Srila Prabhupada talked about. So there are two topics which I kind of shortlisted here that I thought would be important for me also, which is the significance of Ekadasi and Dvadashi, and second is the significance of household life. Significance of Ekadashi Dvadashi is really Prabhupada most commonly summarizes almost everywhere that it is very dear to Krishna and hence we should do it. So I have few paragraph from his talks or speeches. This is from, he was talking about Bhagavad Gita lecture. This was in Vrindavan, August 17th, 1974. And he says, tapasya means to undergo voluntarily some inconvenience of this body, because we accustomed to enjoy bodily senses, and tapasya means voluntarily giving up the idea of sense gratification. That is tapasya. Tapasya. Just like Ekadashi. Ekadashi is one day fasting fortnight. This is also tapasya. Or fasting in some other auspicious day. That tapasya is good, even for health. What to speak of advancing in Krishna consciousness. So we should accept this tapasya, the upavasa. There are many prescribed days of fasting we should observe. In 1971 correspondence letter to Jadurani, Los Angeles, July 9th, 1971. Why just 25 rounds? You should chant as many as possible. Real Ekadashi means fasting and chanting and no other business. When one observes fasting, the chanting becomes easier. So on Ekadashi, other businesses can be suspended as far as possible unless there is some urgent business. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila 15.4 purport. From the very beginning of his childhood life, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the system of observing a fast on Ekadashi day. From the very beginning of his childhood life, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the system of observing a fast on Ekadashi day. In Bhakti Sandarbha by Srila Jiva Goswami, there is a quotation from Skand Puran admonishing that a person who eats grains on Ekadashi becomes a murderer of his wife, father, brother, and spiritual master, and even if he is elevated to Vaikuntha planet, he falls down. On Ekadashi, everything is cooked for Vishnu, including regular grains and dal, but it is enjoined that a Vaishnava should not even take Vishnu Prasadam on Ekadashi. It is said that the Vaishnava does not accept anything eatable that is not offered to Lord Vishnu. But on Ekadashi, a Vaishnava should not touch even Mahaprasadam offered to Vishnu, although such prasadam may be kept for being eaten the next day. It is strictly forbidden for one to accept any kind of grains on Ekadashi, even if it is offered to Lord Vishnu. The last from the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami mentions the basic principles of observing the fasting day on Ekadashi. Nectar of Devotion number 6. He mentions the basic principles are as follows. Number 1, accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. Number 2, becoming initiated by the spiritual master and learning how to discharge devotional service from him. Obeying the orders of the spiritual master with faith and devotion. Following the footsteps of the great acharyas, teachers under the direction of the spiritual master. Number 5, inquiring from the spiritual master how to advance in Krishna consciousness. Number 6, being prepared to give up anything material for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This means that when we are engaged in the devotional service of Krishna, we must be prepared to give up something which we may not like to give up. And also we have to accept something which we may not like to accept. Number 7, reciting in the sacred place of pilgrimage like Dwarika or Vrindavan. Number 8, accepting only what is necessary or dealing with the material world only as far as necessary. Number 9, observing the fasting day on Ekadashi. And number 10, worshipping sacred trees like the banyan tree. So that is nectar devotion, those 10 instruction, which are mostly really aligning to Guru and Guru Parampara, and how to not engage in the sense gratification in material world. Along with that, the one line, the observing fasting day on Ekadashi, that must be really, really important. And the verse that we are reading is where Maharaj Amrish is performing this tapasya or penance and surrendering to the Lord in complete submission, being the emperor of the entire world, who has everything on his disposal, both from material enjoyment perspective, opulence perspective, yet he is performing this vrata not at the surface of it, but really meaning it with complete surrender, devotion and submission. I was hearing, to prepare this class, I was hearing various lectures, including His Holiness Giriraj Swami's, and he mentioned very beautiful point there, that actually everybody has to surrender or submit to something. And we can choose to submit to sense gratification or Maya, or we can choose to submit to Lord. There is no other way. There is pretty much no gray area. Very, very black and white. There are many examples, and he highlighted one very important point, that's submitting to, so sense gratification is directly submitting to Maya, meaning we reject Krishna and we want to enjoy. And then he said something very interesting, that if we reject everything that is what is called under Maya, but we do not use everything that is at our disposal in the service of Krishna, that is also under Maya. Meaning we have things, but we don't use in the service of Krishna under the name of rejection. And that thought takes me back to the observation by His Holiness Radhanath Swami in the journey home, when he met Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan. He was so amazed that all the devotees around Srila Prabhupada were taking dictaphone and other things and mic and all the materially available things. And Srila Prabhupada is in these big cities using every resource in the service of Krishna, which was totally opposite to what he observed during his time in Himalayas and staying with every other saintly people, where he was learning that you have to give up and not use anything. So in today's life, it is very hard for us and people. For example, it is very hard for us to go and say, okay, how we really associate with cow as an example. Right? It is more hard in the Western world because the housing association or city rules do not allow to have cow in the environment where we live in. In India, it is a little bit more accessible to have cow. Yet, and no offense to having cats and dogs, But the idea that we want to serve cats and dog versus serving Krishna is providing that extreme. Not talking about devotee community here. Even if you have cats and dog, the mood is that we want to send them back to Godhead as well. But in general, in the material world, when I was living in about 1 hour away from here in Flower Mound, every single morning when we would go out for a little bit of a chanting, right in our house, there was a beautiful walking park. I would meet everybody with dogs there. And not only that, they are willing to pick up the poop of the dogs and be very happy about it. But when it comes to cow, nobody is even close to the fact that cow is giving milk. At least respect that part. If we can't, pay our obeisances to cow or show our gratitude. So that culture is getting very that culture is actually getting even can be seen now even in India, that because people do not have understanding, nobody reads Srimad Bhagavatam, nobody reads the scriptures, the saintly people, so-called saintly people, do not even describe the importance of the mothers. So everybody is more engaged into sense gratification and not really getting closer to these fundamentals that we have in our scriptures that allows us to elevate ourselves. So that was on Ekadashi, and whom do we choose to surrender to? Second part is the Grahastha ashram that is addressed in this verse. Not something I am expert on that area, so I can't really provide a lot of comment on that. But based on the lectures I heard and a little bit of experience that I have seen the community and outside of the community, the Grahastha ashram is extremely, extremely significant and important in the devotional service and upliftment of devotional service. Because majority of us are actually in Grahastha ashram. Other ashrams, especially Brahmacharya ashram or Sannyas ashram, are there, but very, very small number of people who are qualified to actually be in that ashram. And Maharaj Amrish, who is in Grahastha ashram, performing these austerities, and I'll go back and read from the translation again. It says that Maharaj Amrish's queen was equally as qualified as the king. Therefore, it was possible for Maharaj Amrish to engage his life in household affairs. And then it says that unless a wife is equally as qualified as husband, household affairs are very difficult to continue. And this is such an important lesson for Grahasthas. In my experience, it is not just that wife is equally qualified. Even husband has to behave properly and surrender and submit to the Guru. If husband does not have the quality of surrender and submission to the Guru and Guru Parampara, then nothing will work. And then comes the second part, that okay, in the relationship in the Grahastha ashram, if the husband is properly surrendered and shows submission to the Guru, and in that environment, wife is also showing the surrender and submission to the husband in the mood that they both are going to serve Guru and Krishna, that works perfectly fine. Otherwise, it just does not work. Chastity and surrender are the two key values for wife, and what is most important in this process is husband is showing the surrender to the Guru and Guru Parampara and properly following the instruction of the Guru, including the 4 regulative principles. I think from that, what I can share is that, back in very, very old days, when the marriage planning used to happen, they would look at the family in multiple aspects in the arranged marriages, starting from horoscope and various within the prescribed caste system coming from the similar background was the key, including the financial background and other aspects of it. And that has relevance to it in the mood that if they are compatible, coming from the similar background, there is a big possibility that this process can be properly followed because they are compatible, and that is what is described here. Where did I read that? Okay, I can find it. But so that made it actually easy to follow some of these principles of surrendering, because rest of the things are taken care and we come from the same cultural background. We do not have cultural background clashes. That was really the fundamental principle behind each of these activities that used to happen and still happens today. Because it says that unless wife is equally qualified as husband, household affairs are very difficult to continue, and that is actually, I've seen that example over and over again, especially in the culture background that I come from, that if there is a disparity, significant disparity, it's very difficult to conduct the household affairs also. Ultimately, that leads to significant dissatisfaction and something what we have talked about in past, on the medical terms also called midlife crisis, the identity crisis that happens in the families very, very quickly, where wife and husband both think that I am not needed, I am not wanted, I am not worth it, nobody recognizes me, and this is not how it is done, this is how I have done it all my life, and now I have to do it in this way, nobody listens to me. All these are very common things that starts happening very, very quickly, and these days actually it literally happens within a year of marriage. Again, I am not a marriage counselor, nor I am a husband-wife counselor, but from my observation I have seen in my family, in my friends, another principle of the same thing is that marriage should not generally be delayed. The more we delay, more stubborn and less adjusting we become. That is why there are prescribed age ranges, both for girls and the boys. And what I see within my family and extended friends is that now these days, because of the delay, the focus, the reason of the delay is not that we are going to do spiritual achievements. The reason of the delay is that how can I have more sense gratification before I get married, which is totally opposite of the Grahastha ashram. And there is a race to become materially qualified so well that I'm totally independent. With that mindset, when we go and everybody is only looking for career, and career, and then when it comes to marriage, it becomes 30, 35 and 40, it's extremely difficult to then say that, okay, I'm going to surrender. There's no surrender after that. It's only I'm the boss and this is how things has to run. Then we are totally into the world of sense gratification and Maya. And even if we are devotee and if we do not follow some of these fundamental principles, devotional life is extremely difficult. So one of the things I learned over the period of time, that if we are financially not in a good situation, the life is hard, but it's not bad. Or if we lose wealth, the life is hard, but it's not bad. Because we have two very important material things there if we have those. One is if we have good health and very good relationships, we can deal with that financial hardship. And then move into the spiritual, make progress in the spiritual life. If we have wealth, but our health is bad, it's actually harder than having wealth, because now we cannot do anything. But we can still deal with it if we have good relationships. We can still go through the bad health and bad financials if we have very good relationship in the family, between the spouse. Together we can deal with it. Yes, Mataji, I'll just finish in 2 minutes and done. But if we do not have relationship, if we have bad relationship, where there is no mutual understanding, then wealth and health are less relevant. It does not matter. We are miserable every day because our mind is now very, very occupied, and it destroys our actually sadhana bhakti. So when Chanakya Pandit advises that person in a situation must immediately give up household life and go to Vanaprastha sannyas, I understand. I cannot follow that, but I understand. Person who has no mother at home and whose wife is not agreeable with him should immediately go away to the forest. Because important thing to understand, human life is meant for a spiritual advancement only. And that is called hetu. Hetu in Sanskrit, in English, means reason. That is why we have human life, and that is the hetu of human life. So we need to engage human life properly, even in the Grihastha ashram, cooperating with each other, because there is only one hetu, which is spiritual advancement only. Everything will fall flat in the face of death. I will stop here and request your comments and thoughts on these two topics or contributions.
First of all, please forgive me for the rude interruption. And Gauranga, you're very good with your class giving.
Thank you.
I'm very sorry for interrupting. The question I have, or rather the comment, is that really I see a lot of Grihastha couples here that are very renounced. They are very renounced. They do not put sense gratification in the center of their lives. Okay? So, and you and your wife are a very good example of that. You have dedicated your lives for propagating the holy name, for serving Srila Prabhupada. Nanda Braja and his family, they're dedicated. Tulsi Saki, her family. Manjari Gopika, so many. Dharmana Jayashri, there's so many. They're dedicated. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm hearing this admonishment a little bit. At the same time, can you help me understand where you're coming from? Because I don't see you as a hardcore Sanskriticizer.
I'm coming from, there are 8 billion people on this planet Earth.
Okay, 8 billion.
And how many are in this community? 8 billion on this planet Earth. Is it working? Can you hear me? Yeah, 8 billion on this planet Earth. And how many are in this community? Probably 80 families, 100 families. Yes. So how many are in Krishna consciousness worldwide who follow this? So this purport is written for the entire human race. And so there are a lot of people. You go a little bit out. I keep sharing this. If we go outside and start going into Nandabraj Prabhu comes with me to Bhakti Rakshas, and he sees that you go there and go to the events that I'll give you an example since Diwali is coming to make a point around that. Diwali is considered a major cultural and religious festival in the eastern side of the world, right? And how Diwali, so the people from that region, here even in Dallas, when they celebrate Diwali, this is working, right? Okay. How they celebrate Diwali is there are 4 things that they do. This is the families who are coming from very cultured background. Alcohol, meat eating, gambling, and desire for illicit relationships. So the gathering happens, and the next generation, yeah. Sorry. So they gather for Diwali festival in the name of Diwali, and the next generation is also coming, who are young children, and they are seeing these 4 activities: alcohol, meat eating, gambling, and desire for illicit relationship right there. This goes on pretty much all night till 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. in the morning, when there 10, 15, 20 families are gathered together. Now, the next generation, that's all they see in the name of Diwali. And we are very protected in the community, so we do not know what is going on outside. But that is happening in thousands and thousands of families in the Western world, and now it is also started happening in India. They use Diwali time off as something, okay, let's go on vacation. So they take these days off, they are doing something similar or going on vacation. That is the destruction of the Sanatan Dharma. So that is, Srila Prabhupada's message has to go everywhere, and that is where the preaching comes into that. How much can we preach? It is not enough, no matter how much we do. Yes. Seed, yes.
There's an old saying, little drops of water wear away the stone.
Yes.
And you keep giving these little drops.
Absolutely.
And these children, I think they come here. I've met some of them. They're not happy with their parents.
Yeah.
Some of these Indian children.
Yeah.
They're not happy. He said, here I'm peaceful. I'm peaceful here. I want to know more. Would you give me some books? Would you help me join? Would you help me practice? I want to learn. So these people are open because they know what is really satisfying and what is not.
Yeah.
Because what you're describing, ultimately it just crashes and burns.
Yes.
That they only happy for a few titillating seconds and then a lifetime of hurt. Right?
Thank you very much,
Thank you. Thank you. Now I understand your mood. I was feeling the intensity and I just wanted to understand.
Thank you very much.
Hare
Hi Krishna Prabhu, thank you for preparing so nicely on Ekadashi and Dwadasi. It's always, for me specifically, because if I'm not able to prepare, things that the children will eat, I'm like, okay, they're not even chanting 16. Why? Try to make them observe Ekadasi. But it's such a good reminder every time when you brought all these points up, okay, this is pleasing to Krishna, so we should put more energy and attention into making Ekadasi, nice for everybody, so that everybody can practice up to their abilities. And all the points you were making about Grihastha ashram, also, not very easy to follow, but good standards always for us to bear in mind. We were just a few verses ago, we were listening to how Sukanya was, observing, and now we're seeing Amrish Maharaj's wife was equally qualified. What I was thinking as I was reading is the qualification maybe more in the mood.
Yes.
Of the desire to serve and the desire to be Krishna may not be necessarily in the specifics of, oh, the wife can do everything that the husband can do, or the husband can do everything, but the mood is there and the desire is there like that. And so then it becomes, it promotes
Yes.
both spouses' Krishna consciousness. That's how I was thinking, so I was just hoping to get some.
Thank you very much. And that is why it is important for husband to be surrendered to Guru and Guru Parampara properly. Otherwise, it destroys spiritual life. Nand Bash Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. In one of the later verses, Ambrish Maharaj, he inquires from the Brahmins what he should do, and they don't know what to do, and he comes up with the answer.
Yeah.
And in that purport, Srila Prabhupada says that the Vaishnava is even above the Brahmana.
Yes, he does. He does.
However, it's very important to understand that Maharaj Ambrish, just because he's a Vaishnav, didn't do everything he could not to follow the order that Krishna has given us. So I was thinking about how you were talking about, in your culture that you've seen in the past, you check horoscopes, and these are all things that Krishna has given us to find out what our nature is, how to have a nice marriage. And so we, as Vaishnavas, we should definitely have the confidence that Krishna will surely protect us. And also at the same time that he's given us these wonderful tools that we can use to make sure that we are, living in harmony as best as possible. And so I thought that was a good possibly a good point, considering the point of renunciation or social life or wealth or these or that. We all have our different temperatures of these different things that are our nature, basically, our quota, right? And as Vaishnavas, though, we see, I'm going to use this for Krishna. So, anyways.
Thank you very
That was
much,
a thought.
Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for class. Always nice to hear from you. I just wanted to just point out, so in the purport, Prabhupada says, I don't think anyone here misunderstood, but just to counterbalance this, in the purport, Prabhupada explains that a person who has no mother at home and whose wife is not agreeable should immediately go away to the forest. But Prabhupada has also written in his letters, and I think in a purport, that if one has a qualified wife, there is no reason to take sannyas. That's all.
Thank you very much.
My husband's laughing.
I just wanted to acknowledge the community here. Well, just like Mother Kunti, I was kind of, when you said black and white, it always kind of triggers me when growing up here in the West, having, like, coming for at 7 years old, kind of seeing a lot of Eastern mindset being black or white, kind of, it's right or wrong. And me growing up here kind of always looked at it like in between. But with Mother Kunti, Prabhupada writes harsh or like really strong words, when he has personal relationship, like letters, and like if you look into those, he's the most compassionate. He's just accepting everyone, just as they were. And his brilliance is that he knew his books are going to last forever. So it took me a really long time to kind of shift that mindset, because I'm always like, Prabhupada wrote this in his books. Oh my God! Like I have that inner conflict of accepting what Prabhupada wrote, but then when you read his stuff and listen to the class, like you see how much he's the most compassionate, actually, and everybody in this is such a beautiful community. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. The black and white comment was in respect to either we can serve Maya or we can serve Krishna. There is nothing between.
So for me, that's why I use the word triggering, because it's like sometimes it's like something you went through in childhood or something, and you want to serve Krishna and you want to do everything, but you're stuck in this cycle of habit or just like that reliving or whatever, right? So that all is Kali Yuga, is part of this Kali Yuga, and so that was growing up here.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about this, I was like, premarital counseling. Yes. So that's what my mindset was. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Any other comment? Well, that was me. I came late. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai. Jai. Thank you, Mataji, for bringing the point.
Sana